Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Today, we're going to talk about Road Dogg again, because Road Dogg is back in the news. So I was kind of split on whether to treat this subject seriously or to just read from the peanut gallery. And I think I'm going to slip it the baby and do both. We're going to talk about Road Dogg seriously for at least half the video. And depending on how much time I spend doing that, we're going to talk about what's going on in the peanut gallery. So, what happened? Well, there's several things that have occurred. One, Road Dogg openly admitted that he's trying to get a job with AEW and doesn't really understand why Tony Khan won't hire him. I will explain why Tony Khan won't hire him. Two, Road Dogg made a comment about trying to get a job with WWE. So it's everywhere. And so we're going to talk about both of those things. One, Road Dogg doesn't understand why Tony Khan won't hire him. And he says, quote, "I see things on Tony Khan's TV show that appall me." He says, oh boy, "I'm not retired, I'm unemployed. I see things on Tony Khan's TV show that appall me. I can help with that. I have been begging him for a job on every platform I can. I want to know the reason why he won't hire me." Oh boy, this is sad and pathetic, as many people who don't like Road Dogg will agree. It is both sad and pathetic. Before he even attacked AEW on Twitter, however, or through his podcast, Road Dogg has been a figure of much controversy. Let's put it like that. From his controversial run as head writer on SmackDown, which a lot of people seem to hate, to his supposed racism. Oh yes, you heard me. Road Dogg was called a racist for doing what exactly? Well, this is what the bulk of the video is going to end up being about. So, as we remember, I got a good laugh at the end of the Road Dogg roast about running into him and Shawn Michaels supposedly having some kind of beef over Black Lives Matter. For those of you who don't know, this is from Wrestle Talk. It came out and supposedly 2020, I believe it was, that this occurred. It was during the pandemic. Yes, it was 2 years ago. So it says, and I quote, I guess they're quoting it from Fightful. So Shawn Michaels got into a heated debate with another WWE producer before the show. The other producer reportedly claimed that everyone already gets treated the same in America. This angered Michaels, who attempted to explain systemic prejudice and inequality to the other producer. So apparently this was right before In Your House, NXT TakeOver In Your House 2020. Apparently the other producer is Road Dogg. So now everyone's claiming that Road Dogg is a white supremacist. This is point one of Road Dogg being a white supremacist, because, well, he doesn't believe in systemic racism or something to that effect. In order to continue this, the David Bixenspan wing of wrestling journalism went out of their way to find Road Dogg's Facebook account, on which he has been posting these sort of, I wouldn't say memes, but he's reposting pictures. One of them is from somebody I guess Road Dogg follows, and it says, "The new white supremacists according to Biden. Somebody hire him some better investigators that know how to use actual search." And it cuts off. But it's a picture of Black Lives MAGA, the Proud Boys, etc. Now, of course, we know how this is going to go. I'm going to address this kind of stuff in a second. Another one they found is a political picture from the Ohio Republican Party that has two pictures. On the left is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and a burning America with the burning flag and a Macy's on fire and defund the police and all that kind of stuff. And on the right is Donald Trump holding a Bible, and there's a regular American flag, police, clean streets, all this kind of stuff. So the David Bixenspan wing of wrestling journalism thinks that Road Dogg is a white supremacist and a racist, but not a real white supremacist, mind you, but the kind of white supremacist that Candace Owens and Larry Elder are. The kind of white supremacist where you don't have to actually believe white people are supreme. You just have to disagree with Black Lives Matter, that kind of white supremacist. So, to be quite honest, this means nothing to me. Because you have to ask the question, is there a legitimate way to disagree with Black Lives Matter and be white? Is there a legitimate way to disagree with Black Lives Matter at all, period? Because every time anybody criticizes them for any reason, they just called a racist. So, considering this is a political attack, and this is kind of what it boils down to, I see why Tony Khan won't hire him. He disagrees with Black Lives Matter. He's a MAGA guy. That means the fan base of blue check marks and pronouns in bio don't like him. Can't say that he did the best work that I've seen when he was a lead writer of SmackDown or lead producer of NXT. I can't say he did phenomenal work, but I do think his critiques make sense. So that's racism number one. Racism, well, is that racism 1 or 2? Well, that's 2. Let's count them as 2 separate things. 1, he's against the Black Lives Matter. 2, he's a Trump supporter. 3, cultural appropriation. So the Public Enemies podcast, which I guess is a bunch of black guys, went on Twitter and said that everything about Road Dogg that made him popular, he stole from black people. They say, quote, "The craziest part is everything that made him popular was stolen from black culture. Pop locking, dreads, rapping, all of it." So, cultural appropriation is why Road Dogg is a racist, and or he's a culture vulture, as some people would say. Now, we could break down all these things individually, and you'll recognize that most of this stuff is kind of ubiquitous in American culture in general. Like, I don't want to get into the desire about, people arguing about whether dreadlocks and braids are uniquely African, or are there other Europeans who also had braids and all that sort of stuff. Like, to me, it's all pointless. The fact of the matter is, it wasn't until recently that I heard Road Dogg was even racist. In fact, the one thing that I've always known Road Dogg to be for, and this is almost usually the case, as when we talked about Nikita Lyons, and her super racism is that she was a MAGA supporter and all that kind of stuff, when the rapper that she was promoting was black. Well, guess who one of Road Dogg's best friends are? You guessed it, R-Truth. Whose skin is probably darker than every single person having this conversation. Not only are they friends, not only did they work together in WWE and TNA, but Road Dogg is the reason we even have R-Truth in the first place. In 2004, after Road Dogg was fired from WWE, K-Quick at the time was R-Truth. He was also fired from WWE maybe a couple of years later, maybe a year or two later. He did an interview on the Wrestling Observer newsletter where he talked about being pulled up from Memphis because Road Dogg wanted to work with him. And of course, in 2000, they did that song together, Get Rowdy, which ended up being the entrance song for both of them. And they were partners again in TNA. So the reason we even have R-Truth is because Road Dogg, and everybody loves R-Truth for the most part, and Road Dogg is the one who brought us R-Truth. In 2019, R-Truth tweeted out, quote, "Can't believe it was only 3 years ago that you saw me in Memphis and asked if I would be your tag partner because Billy was injured. Last year, Road Dogg and K-Quick debuted to the world Getting Rowdy. Time flies. Glad I had a friend like you to pass the time with. Happy birthday." To Road Dogg. This is tremendous. He's another one of those super racists who have black friends, and it promoted black people to higher positions. Who knows what would have happened to R-Truth had Road Dogg not been the one to find him and see something in him and then want to tag up with him. Who knows? Now, yes, the pills and the somas and all that, the partying that Road Dogg was doing at the time ruined this whole thing, because once Road Dogg got fired from WWF, it became, the writing was on the wall for R-Truth. They really didn't have anything for him after that. But, of course, they continued to work together in TNA. So, I didn't hear anything about Road Dogg being a racist until he came out as a Trump supporter who didn't like Black Lives Matter. So, this is a political hit job. But this perfectly explains why Tony Khan won't hire him. Because why would you hire this guy that your entire fan base has been trained to believe is an awful, awful racist. Why would you hire that guy? Makes no sense. So there that goes. That kind of explains it. So if Road Dogg really wants to know the answer to the question, all you gotta do is do a little bit of digging. This is what people think about you. This is what they think. They think you're a white supremacist. Did you say anything about white people being superior to blacks? No. Did you make any racial comments? No, not really. So, but you disagree with, the burning and looting of Democratic supporters in major black cities, by the way, something that not only do white people disagree with, but so did Asians, Latinos, Jews, blacks, everyone. I find somebody who lived in this community and said, absolutely, I'm so glad they burned down the CVS and the Macy's, and they looted the Macy's and set up fire to the Burger King in my neighborhood. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was great, and we did a good job. Find somebody who says that and believes that. It just shows to me that, again, people are completely out of touch with reality. And you can say that, oh, they didn't buy Black Lives Matter. That had nothing to do with Democrats. It's like, well, funny how it stopped when the Democrats won office. Notice how nobody got prosecuted from the Democratic side either. They didn't look into any of these things, any of these arsons. There were people who were killed during these Black Lives Matter riots, and they either dragged their feet or didn't find anybody at all who did anything to these cities. How about when Donald Trump was chased into a bunker during his presidency? Everybody thought that was funny. Nobody called that an insurrection. It's the weird stuff that we've got going on here. And sometimes all you gotta do is pay attention, and you can get down to it just being about politics. It's absolutely evil and sickening. But a lot of the AEW fans are running around clapping like seals because he admitted that he was begging for a job. But to be quite honest, he was also looking for a job from Triple H. So he says this. He says, when he was talking about Paul Heyman pushing for Montez Ford, and that maybe now it would have happened that Triple H is in power. He says, quote, I think things are going to change in WWE, and it's time. It was time. A seat that I believe Hunter should have been in for a while, and I'm glad he's finally there. The wrestling fan will appreciate it a lot more too. If you can't tell, I'm unemployed and trying to get my job back. I also believe everything I said and I meant it. Hunter sat at the table and pitched a lot of stuff. Everyone went, yeah, and it wouldn't make it to the top. Now we will start to see. I think we're going to start to see shades of NXT Black and Gold on the main roster. I believe that the mixture that you need of wrestling and great entertainment. So, as you can see, Road Dogg is self-depreciating, or self-deprecating is probably a better term to use. That him saying, I'm begging for a job, he's saying to both WWE and AEW. It's not like he got fired from WWE and now he just really, really, really wants to work in AEW. It's just he kind of wants to work, period. I'm pretty sure if Impact called him, he'll probably answer the phone and say, absolutely, I just need a job. I just need something to do. I mean, he had a heart attack, what was that, a year or two ago? And, the guy just got back on his feet, really, and then he got released. I'm pretty sure he still has to pay his mortgage, and he still got children and different things like that he needs to take care of. His life is not over. He's, again, a little too young to retire. I'm not sure how old he is now. But ultimately, the idea that he has been begging Tony Khan for work, and that's kind of the only place he wants to work, is false. He just kind of wants to work anywhere. And his critiques of Tony Khan has been trying to create a weakness in AEW so that he could fill it. But people have been doing that a long time now. Vince Russo does that quite often too. 99% of Vince Russo's critiques are kind of, if they would just hire me, bro, I could handle that for them. I don't want to write. I just kind of want to be an advisor, a consultant. It's like, yeah, I can always fix your problems for you if you just hire me. Give me a job and I'll fix it. Which is kind of the same as, to double back to a little bit of the racism stuff. That's what you see a lot in like the critical race theory sort of reality. everything is racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic until you give me a job. Now, then I can fix it. I can fix your racism problem. You just got to give me a job. Give me a check. I can sprinkle some holy water over you and cure you of your racism problems. You've got bad TV problems. Hire me and I'll fix your bad TV problem. It's the same thing. In principle, it's the same thing, just on a larger scale. So AEW fans don't like Road Dogg. They really don't. And to be quite honest, I don't see any reason why they should. But, I mean, it is what it is. Let's go to the peanut gallery. We'll do this for probably about 15 minutes. Let's see. TK already has the good member of the New Age Outlaws. You mean Road Dogg already works there? Considering Billy Gunn has not really been over even before he met Road Dogg or even after? I mean, outside of being Mr. Ass, what has Billy Gunn actually done? Nothing. What's the part of the New Age Outlaws that you remember? Well, the guy with the microphone. And that guy was not Billy Gunn. So I don't know, man. Whatever. Road Dogg, stop negging Tony. He's not going to go out with you. Yeah, that's kind of gross. That's quite gross. And how do you know Tony Khan is not going to go out with him? Don't speak for that man. I'm tired of y'all doing that. Stop speaking for that man. For the love of everything, AEW, Tony Khan, please do not ever hire this man. I don't think that. Oh, God. I don't want to read this. Road Dogg, 3 a.m. voicemail to Tony Khan. I'll suck your dick, man. I guess I was supposed to say it like it was in, what was that? I'll suck your dick. When he got shot. It won't be long before that part of that movie's going to get cut out. Watch. Somebody one day is going to watch that old movie on a streaming service or something like that, and that part of the film going to be deleted. Watch. Someone please tell him it's because no one likes him and because he's a twat on Twitter. That's a problem. That is a problem. Him being a twat on Twitter is an absolute problem. Says, at this point, I think Tony Khan is just fucking with Road Dogg's head. I don't know. If Road Dogg would stop insulting TK's product in the name of I can do better, Tony might listen. It's classic shit here. If you're going to crap all over something because you know better, the people in charge will not listen to you. Insane that a wrestling fan will say that. Let's spend 30 years calling Vince McMahon the worst promoter in history. Why won't he listen to me? Well, you calling him the worst promoter in history despite the fact that he's making all this money and he continues to make money and create new revenue streams. Oh no, he sucks. It's like, wait a minute. How is that not the same? I don't know. I just think that there's a definite dearth of intelligence there. Road Dogg was on his knees trying to contact Jacksonville. After they didn't reach out, the old man's now hoping Hunter comes through. Yeah. I don't think Triple H will give him his job back, though. I don't believe it. Let's see. Maybe because you dumped all over AEW while you were employed. He continues to do it while unemployed looking for work with AEW. Maybe that's why AEW won't hire him. Maybe because wins and losses matter. Oh, I remember that one. I remember that. They did get really mad at him for saying that wins and losses don't matter. But all he was saying was that there was context that needed to be put involved in this thing. That's all he was saying, is that there needed to be context into wins and losses, which would explain how they got away with jobbing out Bryan Danielson on Wednesday. They was able to do that because they took the opportunity to not only wins and losses matter, but they added some context to it. There was the concussion thing, and then the evil hand under the ring, all that kind of stuff. It's a fun one. While I hate so much that this is, meaning a Road Dogg, culturally appropriating black people, he culturally appropriated black culture and got over for it. But had he been black, he wouldn't have gotten those same opportunities he did in the 90s. That asshole knows black people didn't get those same opportunities, and he's proud of it. Well, let me point you to a little duo called Men on a Mission that actually did a hip-hop gimmick before the Road Dogg in the WWF. Wait a minute. Are you unfamiliar with Men on a Mission? Are you unfamiliar with them? Or is it because it was two black dudes, you didn't pay that any attention? Mr. White Guy with a podcast and pronouns in his bio. I mean, it's not like I lived through that history or anything like that, but I mean, hey. People thought that PG-13 was the first time people saw rap on in the WWF. It's like, no. There was rappers in the WWF before PG-13, before the Road Dogg. They flopped, though. Nobody really cared about Men on a Mission. They really didn't get over. They sucked. And as a matter of fact, they tell you this really great story about Vince McMahon hearing Mo rap is the reason why they even got signed. So, well, I'll just be damned if it ain't got shit to do with him being black or black appropriating, considering he was just doing what pretty much everybody was doing at the time. Again, in 1997, 1998-ish, in that late 90s, hip-hop was becoming, it was still kind of underground. It was bubbling up to become the most mainstream musical genre in the world. And wrestling was smart to pick certain pieces of it. Like, there's another comment in here about how the NWO stole a lot from hip-hop culture, which is actually true. You know, the whole West Side hand gesture they used to do, and the Wolfpack theme song, of course, being a rap theme song. There's a lot of it that you could take into account, but that's because it was ubiquitous in the culture, and everybody was listening to rap music. You know, just like people a couple of years prior to this, there was a bunch of rock band and Van Hammers and Man Mountain Rock and all those guys who were doing, you know, air guitar and all that kind of shit. You know, it wasn't that long before this, you know, that when rock music and Nirvana was the shit, you started seeing that stuff everywhere. Like ECW's built a lot of the grunge era, you know, the underground rock-based, you know, musical genre. A lot of that shit is what ECW fed off of. Of course, that would become a little bit more mainstream a little bit later. But generally speaking, that's kind of where it came from. And I don't really have a problem with it. Ultimately, white people are the largest consumers of black culture, period. I'm not going to say that they steal everything, which is what we see in here. Looking at this comment is that, oh, white people steal everything. That's one of those crazy comments. But ultimately, white people have always consumed black music more than black people do. They're more likely to buy music than black people. They're more likely to have disposable income. So they've always, that's the whole concept of crossing over. It was always meant that more white people buy your stuff than black people, you know? So it is what it is. But I wouldn't consider that being racist. I wouldn't consider him having hair extensions as being racist because, well, every girl I knew had hair extensions. It's like, yeah, but how many white people did you really know? You know, you don't know what their hair extensions looked like because you weren't white. So you don't know that maybe they didn't have box braids like Maxine from The Living Single or Mystical or something like that. Maybe they had other kinds of hair extensions. And considering black women have been using wigs to make their hair look more like white people's hair forever, to the point where, what was that weirdo? Oh shit, he got kicked off YouTube 1,000 times. Sotomayor? Tommy Sotomayor. He used to call them hair hats. Yeah, like, because that's not her hair. You know, like, it's hard for people to go through this whole thing where it's all about cultural appropriation. But when you are wearing hair hats, that's not cultural appropriation. When you're trying to look like a white girl, that's not cultural appropriation. No, it's only cultural appropriation when somebody else does it. It makes no sense, but whatever. Minute, here comes a new challenger. Now I'm seeing that Road Dogg said that CM Punk was virtue signaling. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Oh, this one is live. This is about to be my I gotta read this. We gotta have fun with this one. I love stumble. See, this is why I do smart tiers sometimes, because like I may see something, but then we start meandering, you know. And I ran into this. I didn't know this existed. So let me skim this article real quick. Road Dogg accuses CM Punk of virtue signaling with his comments about Sasha Banks and Naomi's WWE walkout. Let's see, when did it happen? It happened on Busted Open Radio. Okay, let's get into it. Only in WWE do you get to go, no, I don't like that, and walk away, said James. I'm including Brock in that as well. Like, I know he came back. I don't know what conversation was held. But, you know, I also imagine everyone on social media jumping right to CM Punk as well. Let me throw his name out there to start some social media buzz. He jumped right to, oh, how come they didn't do the same to Brock Lesnar like they did to Sasha Banks and Naomi? I think it was a totally different. It's apples and oranges. You can't compare the two. It's not fair to compare the two. Anything to make the WWE the devil, especially on Twitter. It's not applicable. Don't bring it up, CM Punk. Do you know what I mean? I think that's virtue signaling. Like, I'm going to say this. Why aren't they equal to the women? Well, look, it's not the same, so it's not fair to make it the same. Is that it? Is that the entire comment? I would have liked for him to go into why they're different. Let's talk about why they're different. Well, let's be honest. Road Dogg is correct. CM Punk is indeed virtue signaling. He absolutely is. I don't think anybody could say that that's false. You know, he is absolutely right that CM Punk is virtue signaling. The thing is, if Brock had not come back, then yeah, it would have been the same thing. It would have been just minutes before the show, and you know, he decides that he's not going to do his thing, and so he's going to leave. That would have been fine. But since Brock actually came back, then it does make it apples and oranges, because Brock actually worked the show. And I'm pretty sure everybody knew Brock was going to work the show. That's why Brock didn't get talked about on TV. But again, I've said before, WWE has mentioned pretty much every time somebody leaves TV and they refuse to participate, they take their ball and go home, they start to skip dates or something like that. It's a similar thing. They go after them somehow in the media. That's just kind of what they do. But the interesting thing about this whole thing is, and I think this is something that I forgot to mention before, and this is my fault, y'all, is that Vince had retired earlier that day. And the whole thing about no-showing and fucking the audience, that's always been a Vince McMahon pet peeve. If you want to say, no matter what happened, before July, what was that? July the 23rd, when Vince actually retired. Everything before that was Vince McMahon. So Vince McMahon went after Sasha Banks and Naomi. Vince McMahon went after CM Punk. He went after the Ultimate Warrior. He went after Steve Austin. He goes after people who no-show events. This new administration may have different opinions about how to handle that situation. They might not want to address it on TV. They might see it as not being worth addressing it on TV. They might take the no comment route. They might just say, oh, due to blah, 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 and we're going to do something different. It's a different administration. So for CM Punk to say that, oh, nothing is going to change, why they didn't go after Brock? It's like, because these are different people running the company now. Vince isn't running the company anymore. That's the first thing. The second thing is Brock showed up, you know? And three, we can almost guarantee that if Brock actually did leave, that it was probably Vince himself who told Brock to go back. Because again, this is a Vince McMahon pet peeve about you no-showing events in which you are advertised. Not no-showing events where you weren't advertised, but no-showing events when you were advertised. So, real bizarre that I stumbled across this thing, but this is very interesting. That's hilarious. Let's see. Here's a response to that statement. This tells you all you need to know about Brian James. Anyone that calls out quote unquote virtue signaling is doing so because they probably feel the term woke is an insult. For those reasons and a lot more, please do not hire this red hat arsehole back, Triple H. Being a woke is an insult. It's like being a member of the Borg. It's like being a Dalek from Doctor Who. You know, it's you just repeat current day talking points, even if you don't believe them 5 years ago. Again, and I'm going to say this and hurt some feelings. If I'd have told you 15 years ago that there was no difference between men and women and that men can be women and women can be men, you'd have told me I was a fucking idiot. But today, oh God, you get banned from Twitter for saying women are women and men are men. That's current day woke bullshit. And don't tell me that, oh, that's not true. You didn't believe that 15 years ago. Nobody did. You didn't believe that 10 years ago. You didn't believe it 5 years ago. And it's been in textbooks for a long time. Trust me, I went to college. It's been in there for a while and nobody paid it any attention. It was considered absolute low-hanging fruit, not really worth discussing. But now, well, it's mainstream. You've got Kamala Harris on TV announcing her pronouns. So if you don't think the term woke is an insult, it's probably because you're woke. You don't think it's an insult. You don't want to be insulted. So you're like, no, it's not an insult. Being woke is a badge of honor. Then just wear it proudly and fuck off, you idiots. All right, I had no plans to continue doing this and do it for much longer than 30 minutes. But thank you guys for listening. Let me know what you guys think. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.